Okay, hello everyone. Hopefully we're all ready to go, and it's welcome to another AMA. Ask me anything. We have or at least some of our in residence team. I think others will be joining shortly. Um, Perhaps we could just do a quick go around, just introduce people. Ori, perhaps you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do for Canopy.
Sure, that I think that's within my remit of ability. So hello everyone. My name is Oriana. You can call me Ori. That's what everybody calls me. And I volunteer at Canopy as our Chief Experience Officer in Residence, which basically means that I'm here as an additional layer of support for any founders or startups who are looking to kind of engagement, proposition, and support, whether that is, general advice, customer journey design, mapping, and so forth. Basically, I'm just one of the resources to help you hopefully make lots of happy customers. That's what I do.
Fantastic, thanks, Ori. And perhaps Helga, you could give us a bit about your background and where you how you fit into the in residence team.
Hi everyone, thanks Nick. Hi everyone out there listening to us, joining us. I'm Helga Saraiva Stewart, and I'm CSO. The S stands for Sales in Residence here at the Canopy, and I work with corporates, with entrepreneurs, with business owners and founders who are trying to innovate their sales and their commercial engines. So I focus primarily with prospecting and strategy for raising your first customers and growing your business. So it's all about a passion for B2B selling.
Excellent, thank you. Pedro, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone, and it's always a pleasure to be here every month. I'm Pedro Guimarães, and I'm the CEO in residence in the Canopy team, a proud member of this incredible in residence team. And I hopefully help startups developing their business more on the strategic side, helping them structure themselves and their organizations. And a jack of all trades when needed, and trying to give a push, and most of all, learning from all the incredible founders and incredible colleagues from this in residence team that I'm very proud to be part of. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Pedro. Yeah, and my name's Nick Evans. I'm the CMO resident. So I'm a Helga's other half on the old sales and marketing side. So I'm kind of at the top end, understanding customer needs and understanding how we actually create funnels to bring the customers in, so the sales team can do the deals and move things forward that way. So yeah, I'm privileged to be part of the team, and welcome to Stu.
Hello, how are you doing? Sorry, I'm a little bit
right.
late, everybody. Is it really Christmas? How did that happen? I thought we only just started the year. It's crazy, right? Now, how are we finding this whole StreamYard stuff so far? What's it feel like to be in this one? It's okay?
Yeah.
Are we streaming?
We are
streaming. We are streaming, yeah, and technically we should be streaming to StreamYard itself, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, and to YouTube simultaneously. So I'll tell you what, while you're chatting, I'll just go and have a check and see if those are all working.
Stu, I don't see the reactions, because I wanted to send a big love reaction to Ariana's festive mood and your festive mood and Nick's festive mood. Pedro and I have to catch up next week. next event.
Yeah, I forgot the reindeers. They should show up soon. I brought my friend Yoda. Okay. So, Nick.
Well, I was going to say, hopefully, if there are people joining us, and hopefully there are, they can post questions in the chat. It's an Ask Me Anything session. So we always prioritize questions for the audience. So if you do have anything there, post it in the chat, and we'll jump on it straight away. I've not seen any yet, so we'll keep an eye out for those. I'd just be interested to see actually what people's reflections on 2023 as we're kind of moving towards the end, very close to the end of the year now, and hopefully we'll be moving to our festive times. But I'd be interested in kind of people's reflections. Helge, could I start with you? Maybe what your thoughts are on.
Sure. Another piece of feedback. Where is the hand up? I want to be able to put my hand up too. So I have one big reflection that has been very much inspired by the founders who I've spoken with in our ecosystem. And it is this around the confidence that they have or may not have in going after those strategic clients. And it's really a reflection that has two perspectives. Number one is that you should absolutely be going after and encouraging those first conversations with your potential clients and your ideal clients. Now, this leads me to the second point, which is this. You may not be in a position that you have a fully developed offering that has got a price list and it's, you know exactly what you're doing. And so that still doesn't mean that you can't go after those incredible ideal clients, potential buyers, because your angle in that situation can be one like this. Mr. Ideal client, I'm calling you because I am investing in developing a solution that helps people like you, and you say who these people are, to achieve certain results. And you say what these results are. And I would love to schedule a meeting with you. I'll be delighted to schedule 30 minutes with you so that we can discuss how it is that we are trying to help you to achieve whatever it is in a different way or in a better way, and explain why that's different or better. And in those 30 minutes, I would love to hear your perspective of, to gain your context into, what is important to you? What are your priorities relatively to either that result that you're trying to help them to achieve, or that problem that you're trying to help them, or risk that you're trying to help them to overcome. Now, when your approach is based around this, you are achieving two things, very important things. Number one, you're gaining a potential prospect. Number two, you're gaining a potential ally. Because if you are beta testing your product, guess what? You are the one investing in this solution. So the benefit for the person in saying yes to your meeting is that they're talking to somebody that's investing in solving a problem that they hopefully value solving. Right? So that's their motivation to want to speak with you. And you are not only gaining a potential prospect, but if you are indeed then validating your solution with this person, or indeed giving them the opportunity to beta test it with you, guess what? That's your first customer. So it's a really, it has been a key point with everybody, pretty much everybody that I've been speaking to, which is around this. Number one, do not delay these conversations, and do not fear delaying these conversations because you feel that you don't have a product. At some point, very, very quickly in your business idea, you are going to have to cross that barrier of, does my market really want this? And or saying need this is one thing. Saying want this and validating the want and why do they want it is a different kettle of fish altogether.
Thank you, Helge. Yes, super interesting stuff, actually, and very much the stuff I believe is really important. And as you say, it's really important that founders get out there as early as they can and find out what customers want before they start spending money on expensive product development. So yeah,
and I don't mean investors. I mean clients. I'm talking about reaching out to potential clients, their ideal clients. So who it is that they want to serve.
Thanks, Helge. Any reflections from you, Pedro?
Sure. First, let me just ensure that we are live at LinkedIn because I just got a nice invite for someone that just loved my yoga poster. So thank you.
Hey, that's cool.
Super cool. Appreciate that much, and thank you very much. And I'm going to accept that invitation as soon as we finish this session. My reflection is we are living in a very disruptive moment, even though change has been like the most common thing in the last years, because it's kind of like a clash, I would call this, between legacy problems like the war in Ukraine and the problems in the Middle East, some that are things that have a background, and on the other hand, the increasing, incredibly speeding impact of AI in everything that we're doing or trying to do. And so probably, and this comes from conversations I've been having with different people from different origins, not just our founders. And the thing is how to position myself um, as a founder or as leading a company or a team or something like that to thrive business-wise, and on the other hand, or at the same time, how to position myself in order to have the best possible relationship with investors if you are a startup and you are doing your investment rounds, because all this impact, all these effects will have an impact on, for example, investment decisions. And of course, there is no magic answer, there is no magic formula, but probably the ability to easily adapt to that, which is a common trait for founders, but must be enhanced in some ways because there is a huge amount of uncertainty at the moment. And adding to all the things that we already had, like climate change and everything else, now I think the degree of uncertainty actually increased a lot. And I hope this would have impacts, for example, on education, on formal education, because I think going back to what, I'm always getting back to those passions of mine that should be taken into account while structuring the formal education system. But that's a different story. But definitely things are changing very rapidly, and we need to find ways not to find safe solutions, but to be able to adapt and adjust. And because in the end we will keep wanting to be happy and successful, and they have a positive impact on others and our companies and on our customers and all this, the ecosystem. But I think this last 6 months have been quite weird, and they won't get there won't be a larger amount of clarity in the next six. It's my prediction. And so we need to keep and on the other hand, I think it's also one of the reasons I love being part of Canopy is that we try to be part of those solutions, giving more support, finding more, creating more relationship for peer sharing, transfer knowledge, not just more experienced people who are trying to share with the less experienced people, but different perspectives. Once again, our diversity is super relevant because we can bring things from other contexts that may be useful in this new geography or something like that. And I think that's it. I think my biggest reflection is going to be a very challenging year. And then on the other hand, super excited, but I think here at Canopy, we're trying to build some pieces that will be part of those solutions. And I love, like today, experimenting a new tool. We need to keep trying to experiment things and adjust. That's it. Sorry for being so long, but not in a nutshell. This is what I think.
Thank you, Pedro. I really appreciate that. Can I just at this point just firstly welcome Rachel to the call. Rachel, can I ask you to do two things? One, just quickly introduce yourself, and the other one is kind of maybe your reflections on 2023.
Oh, goodness. Yes, so I'm Rachel Sestini. I'm the CFO in residence here. I founded an accountancy and tax firm just over a decade ago, and also a pension trustee and administration firm about 6 years ago. So it gives me the opportunity to see a lot of business owners go through different stages of their business journey, from new startups right through to very established businesses that were set up as long ago even as the 70s or 80s. So the full spectrum, really. In terms of, 2023, for me, it feels like a bit of a whirlwind. I have started working a bit more closely with some really, really amazing businesses, mainly tech type businesses with lots of exciting things going on. But yeah, it's been a really interesting year. There's been obviously all the politics, all the financial issues and everything, but I think there's a lot of good energy out there in terms of people trying to solve problems, find solutions, get things to market that are going to help people. And I think as long as everybody keeps doing that, we've got something to hope for. So that's me, really.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Thank you. Yeah, and if anyone in the audience wants to put a reflection or a comment, please, we're happy to receive them and kind of reflect on those as well. Ori, obviously the whole area of customer services is a constantly changing area, and technology is coming in all the time. Where are you seeing things from 2023 from your perspective?
Even from my point of view, it feels like 2023 has been a year of chaos, right? Like, it was only about this time a year ago that ChatGPT suddenly appeared, and it was such a fun toy to begin with. And then suddenly we started asking these really deep questions and thinking, oh my God, what are we actually getting ourselves into? And now we've done like a full 360, and we're all kind of back to having lots of fun and exploring. Of course, with all of the kind of political complexity that we've got in the background of everything else that's happening in the world at a global scale. My view is that in the middle of that chaos, perhaps we've all had opportunities to think about, as humans, what it is that we really want to get out of connection. And so my hope for next year, because this year is too late to influence, is that next year will be a year of not chaos, but a year of courage and a year of co-creation. Whether that's co-creation between two humans, human and artificial intelligence. I hope that we all kind of have the cognizance to recognize that, yes, the world has never been crazier, but it's also never been easier to give things a shot, and that's what I hope our founders will kind of hold on to.
No, thanks, Ori. Stu, do you have any reflections on the 2023 we've just had, or nearly finished?
Well, it's been, I think you kind of summarized it really well. There's been a lot of ups and downs and chaos and crazy across the year, right? And I think it's amazing what sort of stuff's coming out of ChatGPT and other AIs just a year into the process. So I don't know if anybody's played with it already, but we've just done our own Canopy GPT, where we've trained it on a load of the transcripts from the YouTube stuff, and we've added in some of the accelerator program information and stuff like that. And you can go in there, you can interrogate it, ask it questions, and it even replies. To be honest, some of it replies like it's me. It's kind of funny. I've even put some of the academic articles and stuff in there from the Falmouth piece. So yeah, it's really interesting what can be done. You can train your own stuff if you go to Google Gemini, or you go and have a look at the Notebook LM that they put together. You can actually route your own GPT together on the data that you've got within your own Google Documents area and stuff, and you put your own spreadsheets in there, Rachel, if you're feeling a bit geeky one day and you just want to interrogate all these things across the piece. So that's also
only one day, Stu.
Yeah, I think from a Canopy perspective, what have we done? We've had a bigger in residence team than we've ever had before. We've done more meetings and ad hoc support. We've had bigger and better in-person events. We've managed to run a demo night every month of the year all the way through, as well as these AMAs, as well as the how-to things. We've got more content than we can shake a very large stick at, and we're going to be turning that into more accessible content next year with the use of a platform to actually deliver both free and acceleration courses that people come onto and can actually get access to that content, as well as some of the knowledge that's in the team. So all sorts of things that have happened this year have been amazing smile moments, not least of which having the Taiwanese ambassador give the opening address at the Web Summit demo night. That was pretty awesome. on some of the things that happened during that demo night and the different people that came along and contributed. And I don't know, it's just been a crazy year, right? So next year, what we're building on top of the stuff that we just talked about is we've got 3 in-person demo nights, including our new one in London Tech Week. So in June the 12th, we'll be in London doing what we do, working with 1,000 Black Voices, working with City University of London, and pulling that together in the middle of London Tech Week. We've never done that before. I've never personally done that before either. So let's see what that means to pulling it off. But hopefully that'll be fun. We've had something in the region of 72 founders go across the demo nights this year, and I anticipate we'll have similar next year. And we'll also be running what looks like a number of entrepreneur in residence programs for other people's incubators, where the in residence team will be force multiplying and supporting on a remote and in-person basis at different places. So let's see what that all means. And that's a wibbly wobbly journey, Nick. I hope that's okay. But yeah, lots of positive things. And I think, like every startup, because we mirror, the community that we're part of, we screwed a few things up this year, and some things haven't gone as well as we expected. And we've also got some wins that we never anticipated that would happen. Like running our first trial. We did an experiment this year of running a 1-day investor readiness program during the Web Summit week. We did it on the Monday to help people be ready to meet investors during the week. It went incredibly well. I think we all learned lessons from it, but actually all the people that have gone through it have gone on and really gained from it. And some of the feedback we got, honestly, as somebody who lectures at university, if I got that kind of feedback day to day, I'd be really ecstatic. It's like there was true tangible value from what was experiential learning done as a group, a diverse group who were learning from each other as much as they were learning from us. And that was really wonderful to be part of. I love the drone footage that came out of that as well, where one of the team had somebody come and do a drone around the Martinelle and do the picture of us in the circle and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'll probably stop babbling now. Thanks for the opportunity, Nick.
You're very welcome, Stu. No, I must have, just to building on what you were saying, I was super excited about what we've done in 2023, and just even more excited about what the potential for 2024 and the kind of things that I think Canopy can continue to do to support entrepreneurs and startups, in 2024 and beyond. So it's exciting times, I think. Pedro, perhaps we talked about the past, and Stu started to talk about the future, the next year. Where do you think things are going for us collectively? And you could decide how far you want us to take that, whether you just want to talk to Canopy or the world or everything.
You were asking too?
I was asking you, Pedro.
Sorry?
Asking you, Pedro.
I'm sorry. Well, let's talk about Canopy, and then I'll go just to give a small comment on the world. From Canopy, adding to everything that Stuart says, my wish is that we deliver even a bigger impact. And I would like to challenge everyone in the community and outside the community also to challenge us, because I think that's the best way to ensure that we are providing the proper, accurate, results that they're looking for. For example, in Ask Me Anything sessions like this one, come, be more active, bring your questions, bring your challenges, bring your ideas or suggestions. And because in the end, we are just here to help and support. We are, one of the things I love most at Canopy, adding of course to diversity, is that we are people-centric. Our focus is on the founder. It's the best way to help the company is by supporting the founder. And this is like a personal invitation, or if you prefer, a personal challenge to every founder. Come here, join, bring your questions, bring your challenges, and that way, I think we are closer to the bigger value, because we are not just discussing things more generically, but we can be actually helping you. And if you prefer to do that, do not do that in public. Just go to our Canopy Coach link, and you can book free sessions with everyone of your choice. So to see the person that you think may have the right profile for the challenge you have, and just start a conversation. And what happens is what happens. That's serendipity is something incredible amongst our community, and I just want to give my support to boost that. Come, join, ask, challenge, bring difficult questions. It helps us a lot, and trust me, we learn a lot from everyone. And this is just like my contribution to everything that Stuart just described. And I'm super excited because I think 2024 can be even a more amazing year than it was for 2023, where we did a few experiments. And I think it's not too much to say that I agree with both you and Stuart, that one day Minnesota program was amazing. It was truly amazing, and the vibe was amazing. And I by the end of that day, I felt, well, I think we did something valuable here, and that made the day, having that sense. And regarding the world, well, I hope that I would say reason would have a bigger role, and we could, balance a bit more emotions with reason. And having said that, by reason, I include trying to focus on real long-term goals that can actually benefit a growing population, very unbalanced. We are over 7 billion people in the planet facing different types of challenges. And I'm old enough to know that there are some things that move some types of people, and they won't change. But if you could create a large coalition of well-intended, like-minded people, pushing on the same direction, maybe, just maybe, we could, I'm not sure if you could stop some movements, but at least we could reduce their impact and work as a balancing strength. And I want to be part of it. And I'm sure everybody here wants to be part of it, but it requires action, not just words. So let's try to do that every day, not just here at Canopy, but I'll try to do that every day in my life, in everything I do. Try to push for that, large coalition of well-intended, like-minded people that want to really try to fight for a more balanced world. And that's it. That's my 2024 wish.
I really like something that Pedro said in the middle there about us learning as much as we're sort of teaching, if you like, or sharing with other people, because I know I've learned a lot this year. And maybe it's a quick thing if we can pop around and to see if there's anything else that anybody else has learned. But one of the big influences on me this year, whether I learned from the community, was actually when I took to an event in February that's still sticking with me today. And I did a little article about it, but it was this culture shifting event that Elizabeth took me to. And it was in London, and it's this room where basically they curate an environment where LPs, investors, and founders all get into the same room, but it's very specifically for founders of color. And they usually run them in the US, and they did one in London. Elizabeth took me to that room. Now, the diversity thing wasn't actually what I learned on the day. I learned 2 phrases which absolutely have completely and utterly shaped what I do, particularly in a non-exec role and on people's boards and advisories, right? So one was the phrase, trying to remember what her name is, Octavia Butler, I think is the author. And the phrase is, whatever you touch, you change, and whatever you change, changes you. That one has absolutely stuck with me since I heard that. And I'd not heard that before. I've not read that author before. I've been listening to an audiobook since, but I don't know if that resonates with you, but it genuinely has shaped what I've done since February. So like 9 months of change. And then there was another one where the guy was talking about, he was doing an interview with LPs, and he was talking about family offices, and he was talking about their kind of reason for being, if you like. And he had this lovely phrase, which I don't do it justice, but it was something equivalent to, you should, when you're in the room, when you have the privilege to be in the room, you should have a vision for the beauty that you can create by being there. Not just turn up, not just be there, but actually walk into the room with a vision for what you're going to create. And I was listening to that, and I was thinking, I'm not sure I have that every time I walk into the room. Sometimes I just turn up, right? But actually, if I'm going into a boardroom, I'm going to be a non-exec, I'm going to be a chair, or I'm going to be doing these things helping founders, maybe I should have a really clear vision. And it just made me question myself. And every single meeting I've been to since then, it's my prep sheet at the top of it is like, what is my vision for being in here? What value am I adding personally? And what are we going to create or co-create, to Ori's phrase, by the end of this session? And if I can't work that out, I basically don't go. And if I just make myself work that out before I go in. But those are two things that really changed me, and I learned this year from the community. So anybody else got anything?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about trends and what we see for 2024, there are three things that pop into my mind straight away, which to me have all equal importance, and it is certification, unification, and valuepreneurship. And what I mean by this,
Valuepreneurship. You're just making up words now, Olga, seriously.
I just made that up. But let me explain what I mean. So, of course, I'm talking about selling and sales. And I absolutely 100% see a continuation of this trend, which is based around the importance of certifying, acknowledging, recognizing competent skills in selling. If you are an architect or a marketeer or a lawyer or a professor or an artist, you can, or an engineer, you can go, you have a body, you have an entity that recognizes your skill and says, this is a competent professional, because it has this level of knowledge and behavior and skill. In sales, you don't have that today. And so this is a trend that, we are hoping to be changing, so that not just for hiring purposes, because when you're hiring talent for your organization, you want to be able to somehow evaluate and certify and recognize some skills that have been achieved and developed by that person. And of course, this can't be done in a cowboy type of way. It has to be done by recognized authorities. So absolutely certification. And also something else that should be certified and recognized is your ethical behavior in sales. So it's not just about skills, knowledge, and behavior, but it's also about how you are assessing profiles and recognizing the maturity levels and the knowledge of individuals in order to help you to hire the right people for these jobs in the sales team and commercial teams. Of course, commercial teams are much wider than just sales, as Nick pointed out. Your commercial engine founders are your sales, your marketing, and your customer support at least. I could throw in there product development and innovation if I wanted to be more thorough. The second one is unification. And there is already evidence to show that the companies that are the most pioneers in finding ways of selling the way that their buyers buy are very efficient in today's world, where in markets where your buyers are educated, sophisticated, in highly competitive markets. You have to find a way of unifying your commercial efforts so that as a company you are consistent and you are you optimize the competence under your roof, which is the ones between the ones who are proactively going after clients, i.e. sales, the ones that are developing the familiarity of your brand, i.e. marketeers, and the people who are indeed working with your existing clients and helping to grow those accounts, whether it be account managers or client support or so on. So unifying this engine seems to be the answer that pioneers are finding. And this is not, I repeat, not alignment or omni-channel. We are talking about a different model that's completely pioneer. So this is very exciting news. And founders have a real edge versus everybody else, which is that they're nimble, they're agile, certainly much more than big corporates. So there's a little nugget of inspiration, hopefully for you. The third one, which is valuepreneurship, is just a continuation of what has now been happening for the last couple of decades, which is a transition to value selling. I see most founders that I speak to, for some reason, and this really makes me very sad, because somehow this idea that, when you're selling and you're talking about, you're talking to a potential buyer, that somehow talking about your product is the most important thing. When in reality, we in sales, we experienced people in sales know that if you want to capture the attention, or if you want to start a sales conversation which has the most probability of converting into a really strong opportunity to close new business, that conversation is not centered around your product. It's not centered around your company, and it's certainly not centered around you. It's directed, it's targeted, it points to your solution, but it's not about your solution. And this is what valuepreneurship is about. It's really understanding how it is, what it is that you do for that buyer, for that client. And that is the type of conversation that has the most probability of generating opportunities out of thin air. All right, I'm not talking about the person calling you. It's you calling a person that doesn't know you at all. So of course that there are implications and knowledge and certain skills that you need to develop in order to be able to have these conversations, but they're by no means complex conversations. You really have to do primarily one thing, start with one thing, which is how well you know that ideal client, that person, that persona. And so it really is a movement and a trend and a methodology and everything wrapped in one. That's why I called it valuepreneurship, because selling is not an activity for salespeople. Selling is an activity for the organization. The biggest salesperson within the organization is and should be the founder. And so this valuepreneurship, this entrepreneurship that founders find themselves in, if they're fundamented on the value that you can create for your potential clients, i.e. the problems that you help them solve, the risks that you help them to reduce, the opportunities or the results that you help them to enjoy or discover, that is what your conversation is about. And then when they ask, oh my gosh, yeah, I would really like to be there, how do I get there? With your solution. So that was those are the three big pointers and of course that last one touches with culture that you want to build into your organization, how client-centric you are. A lot of companies still today like to boast that they're client-centric. They're not. They just like to brand themselves like they are. And so this culture, which is felt by the employees, people that you recruit, there's kind of a 360-degree loop here. But it is fascinating and it's very exciting to see this, I think, progress and continue in 2024.
Can I go next? As the person at the other end of the spectrum, which we're not really, we're actually the spectrum is not linear. There's a circle, right? And we connect somewhere in the middle.
I thought it was a Christmas pudding, Ori. I didn't know it was a line or anything. Or I thought it was like little raisins in it, and it just kind of
Is that the spectrum? It's a Christmas pudding. Do we need to set it on fire before we eat it? Is that what happens?
Yeah, and sometimes just when you think you've got it all sorted, there's this metal thing in the middle of it. Right?
So I wanted to say that this year, perhaps more than any other year, in all of my Canopy coaching sessions, I found myself asking, so how do you want the other person to feel? So how do you want your investor to feel? So how do you want your colleague to feel? So how do you want your customer to feel? And
Have you become a
for the-
therapist in these sessions, or is that what's going on here?
well, here's the thing though, right? Like, okay, so experience, of course, is all about feeling, but guess what? So is everything else. Life itself is about feeling. Sales is about feeling. Coming together and finding a solution is about feeling. And so my hope for next year is to maybe, well, to be more intentional about bringing feelings and how you want others to feel into your purpose, and also B, to feel more free to borrow those kind of thinking caps or lenses from, say, your CX function into your product design function, into your sales function, into your finance function, because it all, Helga was saying earlier, sales is not just your sales team. Sales is actually everyone. The same principle applies when you try to borrow those kind of lenses from different teams and bring them into kind of like heart at center, right? So, my invitation would be off the back of all the convos that I've had this year, to just really think about what is the kind of impact and legacy that you want to leave behind, right? When you enter a conversation, when you start raising funds, when you release your first iteration, when you do your 20th update, what is it that you want people to hold on to at the end and think, okay, this is the reason why this brand matters to me. This is the reason why this founder matters to me. So I was very excited to hear what Helga had to say, and I just want to say that it applies the other way around as well, and that we should just maybe be a bit more courageous and not think that feelings are just therapists.
Wait, you know my favorite Portuguese word, right, Ori? Do you remember my favorite? I'm going to do this bad justice now, but it's empatia. That's my favorite word, because I think it sounds better in Portuguese than it does in English. Did I get that right, Helga? Did I do a half-decent job?
Absolutely spot on. And I had to jump in the minute you said empatia, because valuepreneurship cannot happen. Remember when I was saying that the first thing you need to do well is get to know your customer? That's how you get to know your customer. You have to do three things, or you have to work on three things: empathy, empatia, beautiful, stunning. I mean, I have to applaud that. The second is active listening, and the third is being able to know the language of powerful questions. Again, three soft skills, very important.
Do you know what my second favorite Portuguese word is? I can't say it very well, so I'm going to give it a try. Okay?
Is it to do with food? Tell us.
It's sort of to do with food. It's a very important part of the food equation. Okay, so it's obrigadíssimo.
I'm happy
because if you can't say thank you properly, you're not going to get a good entry to the process, right?
Yeah, let me just add something to what both of you said. I think that impacting or be able to provide anything, support, help, whatever, starts by really caring. And I used to say, sometimes I say that listening uses two organs, the ears and the brain, and sometimes we just use one, which is the ears, and that disconnected. So I think I've just copied one of our things by a reaction, and that's part of what we try to do here, is actually listening, because we actually care. We actually care, and
well, you might, Pedro, but Nick doesn't. I've talked to him about this many times. He's got no idea.
and just to finish, when you're selling, if you're not trying to just push the product, from the customer's mouth on, but you're truly believing that you can add value to that person's needs, but first you must ensure that you actually have value. And to do that, you actually have to care about that person, about that person needs. So, because companies don't sell to companies. People representing companies sell to people representing companies. It's always between two human beings. And the key to success is actually caring. Just my 5 cents.
And may I just provoke Nick here for a second at the back of your comment, Pedro. But in order to care effectively, you really need to kind of do less rather than do more. So number one, I imagine that for a lot of founders, it might be difficult for them to try to sell to less people rather than more people. Certainly, sales professionals, they instinctively, they try to sell to everyone, which in my view is the biggest trap that you can fall into, because unless you're an Amazon or a Google, why on earth are you trying to sell to everyone? So if you are proactively, if you're caring, in order to be effective, care in front of the right people with whom you have impact. And that is not everyone. Again, going back to know your customer very well. You have got to make some very tough decisions and understand not only who do you serve well, but who do you serve well in a differentiated way? Because if you're not different or better or unique than to everybody else, and please don't say that you don't have any or that doesn't refer to me because I don't have any competitors. Everybody has competitors, direct or indirectly. You do. So please don't be in front of an investor say that there's no competitors, in our business. And so please know your niche very well. You can only really care effectively and make a difference and protect your premium margins if you really understand your niche market. Nick, I'm provoking you here because marketing, right?
I totally agree with you there. And I think, the other side of it, and I think a lot of people have touched on it, is about knowing yourself as well as knowing your customer. Because as a business, you have to know yourself, what your values are, what you can do, what your capacities are, what you care about. And if you don't understand that, then I think it's very difficult to understand or care about a customer, because then you don't have that connection with them. And the other thing I wanted to say, which was kind of, it was more about kind of how, because I think in a world with AI, and I'm no expert in AI, but I can see that AI is going to actually revolutionize a lot of the things that are going to be happening in the next year on, and what's already happening. But I think there's going to be a lot more emphasis. People are going to focus on how. That AI is going to be a great way of being able to do something more efficiently, more effectively. But I think it means that you've actually got to, as a business, as a person, understand much more clearly what you are doing, what's your strategy, what your values, what's your vision, because everybody out there can do it really well now, because they can there'll be something that will help them to achieve it really efficiently. And the difference is going to be those organizations that understand what they're doing as well as how to do it. And I think, I know it's a rather general phrase, but I do think there's going to be those businesses that are laser focused, as Helga and Ori were just saying, about understanding themselves, understanding their customer, empathizing with that customer, and really getting close to them, are going to be the ones that are going to succeed. And I think the difference between those who understand that and those who don't is going to be so much more obvious in the years to come.
And what we're talking about, and I'm glad you mentioned it. Again, I'm going to provoke. I may be provoking Pedro here, and Stu, and Nick. But here's the thing. I don't actually think that this is a challenge that you necessarily have to. You can just throw technology into. So I imagine that one of the biggest challenges of ChatGPT and everything else that's replacing the low cognitive activities that we do in sales and marketing and customer support and answering phones and offering a client experience, including the websites, is really, in order to be efficient and effective, it's going to have to be relevant. So I don't particularly think that building wide, broad messages about you being able, or your business being able to do everything, right, left, and center is going to be efficient. The trend that I personally see is towards relevance. And the more relevant you are to the person, to the stakeholder that you are connecting with, whatever touch point that may be, whether it's a newsletter or a phone call from sales or a campaign, it has to be relevant to, as much as possible, to the recipient. How is artificial intelligence going to know us at this point next year that well? I think it's going there. It's scary what they're going to know, but the key is being relevant. And so this is not something that you can particularly, you will throw technology into, and that's what people are doing and they're trying. But I don't think it's effective enough. You do need human beings really sharpening in that knowledge, that very specific knowledge of their customer, and it has to be very specific knowledge. And we can do a session about this, like what type of knowledge do you need to be developing about your customer and your audiences in order to optimize your selling strengths there. And then the only other point that I wanted to make here is personalization. Absolutely. So that relevance, that personalization, that customization, that's absolutely, Oriana, you and me, right? But absolutely. And then the second thing, actually, it's
I'm starting to fear the next In Residence team dinner. You know what I mean?
and then the last thing for me is a bit of a tease over there to Oriana. And it's just to say, maybe the way to differentiate will be through your through the customer experience. I certainly meet a lot of companies who acknowledge that they are pretty much selling commodities, and they know that. And so in valuepreneurship, I'm testing this, by the way, I don't know if you're noticing, but in valuepreneurship, what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, look, I need to stand out somehow. Right, I know that there's a lot of swimming in red oceans. There's a lot of competitive alternatives out there. If I'm doing wood and somebody else is doing cork, why is wood better than cork or algae? You know, it's good for me because I'm selling it, but on the eyes of my customer, they might not find it as important as I do. And so the customer experience really comes in as a way to make the CFO happy.
All right, then look, we're nearly through our hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little recap on something that we did a couple of years ago that's really resonant for this. And then I'm going to ask each of you for your Christmas wish that you will want to send out there into the community. All right, is that okay, Nick? Yeah, so I'll start with Rachel with the first Christmas wish in a second, right? But just want to remind everybody of the Future of Work edition that we did 2 years ago. We did the Future of Work and Education as a webinar, did it in the March, middle of the pandemic 21, right? And we had a systems architect from a company called Micro Focus, who was like a resident geek on the call. The other three were educationalists, and so it's a future of education and work. And we gave them the godparent question at the end, which was all the panelists. I said to them, look, my daughter, she was 10 at the time, said, you are now anointed to be her godparents. And what I want you to do is to say at the end of this webinar, what should she be studying now to be ready for her future of work in 8 years' time? And the educationalists had their point. And Dave Easter from over on the West Coast from Micro Focus, he said, it's really simple, Stu. He said, here's a picture of the enterprise architecture. Here's a little circle. That's all the stuff I can't automate at the moment as an architect. All this other stuff I can already automate. There's pretty much no human involvement in any of it yet. This was 2 years ago. He said, that little circle there I call the last bastion of humanity. That's the bit I'm going to automate, but I can't do it just yet. So your daughter, what she needs to do, in my opinion, and I was expecting learn to code, I was expecting all these little things to come through. But I think she should study something to do with psychiatry or how to empathize with people or how to communicate with people, because that's the bit I can't do. That's the bit that you're going to, how you extend the human experience is actually what we need to focus on in our education. See, because the code stuff, the code writing now, we don't need that. We've automated everything else. We just need to learn how to live better. I thought it was super interesting from the technologist on the call. Right? So with that happy message, I will ask your Christmas wishes for the community. I'll go Rachel, then Helga, then Ori, then Pedro, and then close out with Nick. So Rachel, what's your CFO in residence Christmas wish for the community?
I was going more for the world at large, actually, but
as you wish, it's your lanes.
Yeah, I mean, my sort of overriding wish is for the entire world to become more confident at maths. I constantly hear very, very bright, able, incredibly capable people who say, "Oh, I'm just not very good at those numbers." Even if they present to me with a 50-page spreadsheet that all adds up perfectly. So I just think
is this where you give us 3 numbers to add up mentally while on the call right now?
No, that's not what I do. That
Thank you
doesn't
so
make
much.
people feel more confident, Stu, does it? No. So yeah, I just want some kind of systemic change in the world that means that everybody grows up feeling more comfortable with numbers. They stop being a necessary evil and they start being something that actually, people can see as part of what helps them understand things.
Nicely done. All right, Helga, your Christmas wish, what is it? As the
I
CFO
thought Rachel was going to say mine. As soon as you started to say confident, I thought, oh, you're going to say mine. So, mine is, I wish, and I'm sending sparkle sends, people all the confidence in the world to really value developing, number one, the confidence to approach their ideal clients as soon as possible with value. Okay, so please feel learn how to do it with value. Talk to us about learning how to do these approaches with value, and then please feel confident to go out there and just start having these conversations. Don't wait for anything or anyone. Start having them now. And then what I hope that they would be selling at universities and schools from as early age as possible is the life skill of value selling and soft skills like active listening, empathy, and powerful questions, because they will never go away. They will always, until the end of the planet, be helpful.
Thanks for that, Helga. Ori, what is your Christmas wish for the community?
My Christmas wish is for all of us to lean more into the sticky, complex, difficult stuff that makes us unique and wonderful. That's where the real treasure is. That's it. Just be more comfortable doing the uncomfortable. And there's only one way to do it. Just got to do it. Just got to practice. That's it.
Love it. Thank you for that, Ori. All right, Senor Guimaraes, I'm not letting you go last because you get all Colombo on me. So what is your Christmas wish?
Okay, so 3 sentences from the world to the community. I wish next year's bedtime stories to kids with less boogeyman roles, which means creating a more balanced world. And to our community, to be part, I wish that you all want to join me in this large mankind coalition of people trying to balance the world, and just to small ingredients for the recipe, increase your self-awareness so you can understand yourself better and be able to provide more support and review and really create a true commitment to your vision and your mission. And if you do that, probably you're going to be changing the world. And I just loved both of your sentences, Stuart, but the first one was just amazing. So these are my wishes for 2024. And I hope to see you all during the next year many, many times.
Thank you, Pedro. Come on then, Nick, and then I get the chairman's prerogative to do the last one.
Of course, yeah. Well, mine really is just around. We've got so much technology mediating our lives, and I want to sort of say I'd like us all to have more productive in-person meetings, because I think this is where the magic happens. And it's great talking to each other in these kind of things, and they're great, but there's nothing like sitting in front of somebody or next to someone and having a really conversation where your empathy and your intelligence and your caring and everything, your humor all come together. And I think that's something we should make sure we don't lose sight of in 2024.
Nicely done. All right, so the chairman's prerogative as we close out, and thank you everybody for embracing the idea to trial StreamYard today. I think it's had some pluses and some minuses, and let's see what we can do for the next stuff. But this is our home for 2024, so that's even if we're going to carry signs which are raising our hand or something to help Helga with what she wants to do, I don't know. Right, so Canopy is a community, and we do a lot of incubation type stuff, right, helping people to be successful with their startups. And we're going to do more of that next year. And we've got some lovely acceleration programs as well. And it's going to be super awesome. But my Christmas wish is that we really come back to something in our original DNA. And we actually do what Matt and Kelly envisaged with Canopy in the first place, right? So this is the origin part for Canopy from Somerville and origination. First thing was entrepreneurial doesn't mean startup tech person. It means you're entrepreneurial. And there's all walks of life where those people exist. And what Matt did to start off with was he brought those people together into the Canopy space and he got them to sit together. So this was artists, creatives, non-profits, tech entrepreneurs, state senators running for re-election, all sorts of people in the same place. And that diversity and that serendipity that came as a result made really interesting things happen. But the thing that he also wanted to do, which he started to do, and remember, Canopy started in 2016, right? So he said, if I get smart people in a room and I give them wicked problems, I bet they could do something awesome with it. So he put 50 of the smartest people that he could find from all walks of life into a room. And he said, what do we think about homelessness in Boston? What could we do about that? And just let them talk for a bit and saw what happened and saw the changes happen. He said, algorithmic discrimination, that's not awesome. How does that all work? Why is there bias within the algorithms that we're putting together? And again, he took 50, 100 people, the smartest people he could find, and gave them these wicked problems and just let them think about it and try. And I hope that we get, my Christmas wish is that in 2024, we start to elevate back to where we began, which is looking at these wicked problems as a community, taking the brains and the intent and the attitude across the whole community and actually doing something material in the space that we choose to direct it in, whatever that wicked problem is. And maybe that's how the human race combats the dominance of AI in the workplace. I don't know what it's going to be, but I really hope that we get to do some of that stuff and pay homage to what began. And if you look at the Canopy DNA vids, which are on YouTube, you'll see the opening keynote speech from Noam Chomsky, where he talked about the role of innovation in peace and international security as we launched Canopy. He's a personal friend of Matt's. He came and gave that talk to set the tone for what we're supposed to be about. And so I hope we get to kind of bring some of that back into 2024. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Why don't we finish off with one of those silly waves? I wish you all a very Merry Christmas.